Success isn't what you think. I'm 90 years old. I've buried friends. I've watched industries rise and collapse. I've seen men become millionaires and die alone. And if there's one thing 9 decades have taught me, it's this. Most people spend their lives chasing the wrong definition of success. Let me tell you what I've learned. I was born in 1935. I grew up when money was scarce, when neighbors knew each other's names, and when a handshake meant more than a contract. I've lived through wars, recessions, the moon landing, the rise of the internet, and the age of social media. I've seen the world change. But human beings? We haven't changed as much as we think. We still chase status. We still chase approval. We still confuse noise with meaning. So let me tell you what success actually is and what it isn't. When I was 25, I thought success meant money. I had a friend named Richard, brilliant man, sharp dresser, always first in the office, last to leave. By 40, he owned 3 houses. By 55, he had a heart condition. By 60, his children barely spoke to him. At his retirement party, people clapped politely, but no one cried. That's when I began to understand something. Success is not wealth alone. I've known wealthy men who were terrified of losing everything. They checked stock prices more than they checked on their families. And I've known mechanics and school teachers who didn't have much, but laughed louder than anyone in the room. Money is useful. Don't misunderstand me. It buys comfort, security, options, but it does not buy peace. Look at Steve Jobs, one of the greatest innovators of our time, changed the world. And yet, in his final days, he spoke about relationships, about family, not market share, because at the end, numbers fade, people remain. Success is not fame either. I once met a local television personality, adored by thousands. But off camera, he confessed to me he had no real friends. Applause is loud, but it's not warm. Let me tell you what I've discovered. Success is waking up without regret. Success is being able to sleep at night. Success is having people who would sit beside your hospital bed, not because they have to, but because they want to. I worked 42 years in the same company. I was never the CEO, never the richest man in the room, but I coached my son's baseball team. I took my wife dancing every Friday. I showed up. When my wife fell ill, I sat beside her for months. And when she passed, the room was filled with people, not impressed by our bank account, but touched by how we loved. That is success. I once read about Nelson Mandela. He lost 27 years of his life in prison. By worldly standards, those were unproductive years. But he emerged without bitterness. That, to me, is success, not power, but character. Let me tell you something most young people don't realize. The older you get, the smaller your world becomes. Friends move away. Some pass on, some drift apart. In your 20s, Your phone never stops ringing. At 90, silence can be loud. I had another friend, Thomas, brilliant investor, retired early, traveled the world. But he postponed family gatherings, said he was too busy. When his wife died suddenly, he told me something I'll never forget. I built a portfolio, but I forgot to build memories. You see, careers end, titles disappear, but relationships compound like interest, the hugs, the shared jokes, the forgiveness after arguments. Those are the real dividends. I once saw a documentary about Warren Buffett. Someone asked him how he measures success. Do you know what he said? He said success is measured by how many people love you. At 90 years old, I can tell you that's true. When you reach my age, you don't think about your biggest paycheck. You think about the apology you never gave, the risk you were too afraid to take, the time you chose work over dinner. Regret isn't loud when you're young. It whispers when you're old. But triumph is quiet pride. I'm proud I stayed married 63 years. Proud I forgave my brother before he passed. Proud I didn't cheat a client even when I could have. Those things never made headlines, but they made my life steady. And let me say this clearly, you will fail. You will lose money. You will make mistakes. I lived through recessions. I lost savings in the 70s. I made terrible investments in the 80s. But the real failures were moments I let ego win over kindness. That's what I regret. Not lost dollars, lost chances to love better. So here's what success actually means. It means becoming someone you respect. It means choosing integrity when no one is watching. It means answering your phone when a friend calls. It means building a life you don't need to escape from. And one day, when you're 90 like me, sitting in your chair, looking back, and smiling more than you sigh, the world will tell you success is speed. It isn't, it's depth. Slow down. Call your mother. Forgive your father. Take the trip. Start the business. But don't sacrifice your soul to impress strangers. Because at the end of your life, the scoreboard disappears. Only the memories remain. And trust me, those are the only trophies that matter. Build a life you won't regret. If this message meant something to you, pass it on.